Hey everyone, I'm Matt Peterson. I'm a pastor here at Awake Church and lead Hydrating Humanity, and this is called Into the Deep. This is our podcast that we've been doing periodically to go into the deep with some folks. You know, when Jesus was on the seashore speaking to people, standing in Peter's boat, he got done talking, turned around to Peter and looked at him and said, "Hey, let's push out and go into deep together." And of course, they had a great catch. And who knows what kind of conversation they had on that boat. Just the two of them, perhaps, could have been others on the boat. But we wanted to have a format for something like that where we can have some wonderful guests in and talk about some stuff from the past into the deep and bring out some great stuff. So today with me is a close friend, someone I've known for a very, very long time, John Mark McMillan. And as so many people watching this will know who you are. But some may not. So John Mark has been around in the music industry, Christian music industry, for a long time. Singer, songwriter, and now in a movie. So now you got the acting side in there as well, and part of your family as well.
Yep.
But of course, known you for a long time. Your wife Sarah and your kids. There are also at least two of them in music with you. Sarah was on the stage last night. Of course, she's had a song that's been in every church around the country and the world too, but just an amazing guy. And so I wanted to dive in a little bit, reminisce a little bit with you. We go way back. So I remember moving to Charlotte in '95 with my wife, and you guys were the next neighborhood over from us. And so I got to meet your dad, your mom, you guys. You were a teenager at the time.
Yeah.
And just, you know, it's been so great to not only get to know you, but to watch what the Lord has done with you and the decisions you made and the things that have happened in your life, particularly related to music, but other things too. And it's just been really wonderful to have you involved in our lives and for me to see what God's doing with you. And you, of course, you've been on our Hydrating Humanity board for a long time.
Yep.
You've done a lot of things with raising money for Hydrating Humanity. We'll talk a little bit about some of those things too, even though this is not necessarily a Hydrating Humanity podcast, but there's a blend there with that. But let me just kind of go back a little bit here. And last night, there was a show last night that you guys did with your band. Here was wonderful. You had some songs over the years that you brought in were just awesome. And to see Sarah up there with Jude up there playing as well. Was that the first time he was playing?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay, which was so cool. He's 16.
Yep.
And that was just great. But during that, you were talking some about your journey, spiritual journey, and something that happened when you were 7 years old, I think, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of, you know, I met the Lord at 7 too, but similar to you probably, something kind of kicked off from there of a desire for God.
Yeah.
And do you mind sharing just a little bit of that? And
I'd love to.
We'll fast forward a little bit too.
Absolutely. Yeah, so 7 years old, I was at a vacation Bible school. I'm guessing it was the middle of the summer. I feel like I remember it, you know. It's a long time ago, but we were in this church, which is, I recently saw some pictures. It's actually way smaller than I remember.
Yeah,
but it was a small church. My dad was pastoring at one point, and then he kind of handed it over. I don't remember where this was in that process, but we were going to this church. It's vacation Bible school, and I was with some of my friends. We were sitting in pews. I think we were like sitting on the back of the pew, you know, like with our feet in the seat, you know, and like there was a special musician came through. It was actually Ken Helser.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Ken Helser's a father to one of my friends who I'd meet 20, you know, I guess 20 years later or something.
Yeah.
10 years later. 12 years, I don't know. But he was just playing, and no one was talking to me. No one was making an invitation. No one had taught me about the Holy Spirit. I didn't know about any of that stuff. I'm 7, and I'm with my buddies, and the next thing I know, I'm just crying. And of course, you know, they all think there's something wrong with me. All my friends do, you know. And but I wasn't sad. And and I wasn't even embarrassed. I mean, at 7, I was old enough to be embarrassed. I wanted to be cool for my buddies. Yeah. One of my friends there was, everyone has that friend that you think hung the moon, right? And that, I was with that guy, right? And I started crying, and I didn't know what was happening, but I knew that I liked the way I felt. That and this is how I felt, and I describe it this way. So this is not my theology, but this is how I felt. If I had to define how I felt like the universe was in love with me, and I was in love with every person in the universe as a 7-year-old.
Yeah, wow.
Right? As a 7-year-old, I had compassion on every person I'd ever met, and I felt like whatever forces created this world, their affections were pointed at me. Right? And I was thinking about that recently, and I was like, the highest theology is to love God and love your neighbor, right?
Jesus said that.
Jesus said that. That all theology hangs on these 2 commandments. And I realized how interesting it is that, like, we work our whole lives to try and learn this thing that I felt in my body at 7 years old, right? Yeah. And, people can... I realized over the years, people can take a lot of things from me. I mean, you could argue me out of a lot of things. Yeah. But it's like I don't know how you could argue me out of that. Right. You could maybe like argue over what kind of God it was, or was it God? But and obviously it was God. It was Jesus. Yeah. But you could argue a number of different points to a 7-year-old, but you can't debate whether or not that happened. Right?
Absolutely.
And, maybe I was manipulated by the music. I was like, I don't know. I've done music for a long time. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, maybe you can manipulate people with music. But if you can manipulate someone to feel loved by the world and to love other human beings, it's like, I don't know. Yeah. That maybe is maybe that's something more than manipulation. Yeah, and I don't think that was happening, right, either. So for me, it's like that moment really marked my whole life. From that moment, I realized at 7, your commitment level at 7 years old is, shaky at best. But I knew at 7, like, I wanted to feel that feeling as often as possible. Yeah. And I wanted to love other people. I wanted to love my friends, wanted to love my parents, my brothers and sisters. Yeah. And I wanted to feel that thing as often as I could. And throughout the years, I have been able to find that feeling in the music that I make. And I realized that, like, I've spent my whole life looking for that feeling, looking for that place in the music, and I have hoped my whole life that I could share that music with other people, and hopefully they could feel that feeling. And it's interesting how you can lose that over the years, and how, like, I don't know why. It wasn't a thing I forgot very soon. Yeah. It followed me for years. I remember waking up years later thinking, like, I'm different. There's something about me. Whatever happens is okay. Because of this thing, right, that my parents tell me is Jesus, right? And I lose that language, but every now and then I would think about that, and I'd be like, man, isn't that weird? And then I feel like maybe life just gets busy, and I maybe forgot about it for like 10 years. Yeah. And then out of the blue, I'm not sure why it came back to me. Maybe it was when I was trying to figure out, why did I get into this? Because I went through a long period of, like, is worship music really even worth doing? Is this what I'm called to? Sure. Do I even like this? Is it, Yeah. And in the last 2 years, I found myself, like, re-enamored, if that's a word, with worship music, at least the way I see it, right? At least from what I believe it's supposed to be, or And I began to ask myself, when did this all start? Like, why did I get into this to begin with? And I was like, oh man, this actually happened a long time ago. And I realized, had that not happened, I kind of think my life would have gone in a totally different direction. Yeah. Because my parents are very creative, but neither one of them considers himself to be musical. Right. I think my dad has a guitar, and maybe he'll pull it out and play 3 chords.
And I've heard him sing sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
He has a booming voice.
He does. Yeah. I'm trying to convince my brother to turn the auto-tune on in church.
Yes.
And do the Post Malone thing. but yeah, I realized my life would have probably gone another direction. My parents are not musical. I didn't grow up in a musical household. And I was like, why did I even get into music to begin with? When did this all begin for me? And that was it. And I literally think I could have gone in a totally different direction with my life.
Absolutely.
Had that not happened.
Interesting. So that was kind of the beginning, the initiation of some things that
Yes.
the guy was doing. I remember I think around the time I met you, you also had some sort of an experience, I think, around baptism.
Yeah, I did.
What was that? Was that a journey maybe 10 years later, something like that?
Yeah. That would have been, So I probably would have been 16 or 17. So it would have been about exactly 10 years later. I went through that teenage period of angst, like I think that, and you and I were talking earlier about how all our kids are so different, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like, but I was a very sensitive teenager, very moody, my parents tell me that I was intense. I was an artist, and I didn't know how to be an artist as a teenager.
Yeah.
I had this sensitivity to, maybe even you would say sensitivity to spiritual things, but certainly to art and music and people, and I wanted to be liked.
Sure.
And, I go through I went through what a lot of teenagers went through, like feeling awkward and out of place, and and do I fit with the misfits? And
right.
Then they were doing drugs and stuff, and I was like, I don't really fit with them either. I'm not really interested in the drugs, and that makes me, even being around it makes me really nervous, because I also didn't want to get in trouble, So
Right.
I had a hard time finding my place, and I think there may have been times I maybe even resented my dad a little bit, because he took the spiritual path, and and maybe I don't know why. Maybe it's just a teenage thing. There are those moments where you're carving out your own identity,
trying to figure it out. Yeah.
And I had really sort of sort of in my heart moved away from the Lord.
Yeah.
And we had set up this baptismal. It was actually an indoor swimming pool in my parents' storefront church.
Yeah.
And I might get a little emotional.
That's all right. Yeah.
But my best friend, Steve Coffey, he passed away about 20 years ago. But
we'll talk about him in a minute. Yeah.
But we were good friends, but before we were interested in God.
Okay. Yep.
And he was largely not interested in God when I first met him. He was very interested in girls,
Right.
Somewhat successful in his interests. He's a good-looking guy, very charismatic, and he was very liked.
Yeah.
And he and I were so different. Had tons of personality.
Yep.
He was very much into sports. I was more into music. I was into goth. He was into working out.
Yeah.
And we became the oddest friends, even visually. He was kind of short. I was kind of tall.
Yeah.
We were just the oddest friends. I don't know how on paper it doesn't even make sense,
Right.
but we became friends. And he somehow became interested in God. And I was like, this is really interesting, Steve. So you're interested in God, and it's just really. And he, they had this baptismal, and at the end, they planned to baptize some people, and out of the blue, he decided to get baptized. He didn't bring any clothes, whatever.
You weren't planning on it.
No, wasn't planning on it. And after he did it, something inspired me.
Yeah.
To jump in the water, and I don't even know what it was, but maybe it was that feeling.
Yeah.
That I had when I was. 7.
Yeah.
Maybe it was that feeling again.
Yeah.
But something about this time I saw him do it.
Yep.
As before, it was just random, or not. It obviously wasn't random, but it was. It felt very much out of the blue.
Yeah.
Felt disconnected from anything else. There weren't even other kids having that experience
Right.
when I had it.
Yeah.
And I'd never really seen it before either, so I wasn't copying. I wasn't trying to do the thing. Mm-hmm. But back to the baptism. Yeah. So. That one's a little emotional for me, because he passed away a few years later.
Yeah. So in that, some of what I remember is kind of at that experience for both he and you,
Yeah.
was maybe some sort of what we would call a rededication
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
Lord,
yeah.
almost
It
like a
was,
renewal
yeah.
of your heart.
Definitely,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Reinterested in the things of the Lord, and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and we were teenagers too, so we're also sort of like you're bouncing around,
knuckleheads.
you're still struggling,
Yeah.
but you're fumbling towards the light.
Right. Yeah, that's a good
You
way to
know?
describe it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But something genuine happened
Yeah.
that day for both of
Oh
you.
yeah.
In this lifelong journey,
Yeah.
spiritual journey, that
yeah.
there's a marker.
Yeah.
Isn't it for you? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, kind of following that a little bit longer with
Yeah, yeah.
Stephen, you guys
Yeah.
developing a relationship,
Yeah.
your friendship, and then your spiritual relationship is taken off. Did music then, kind of come into the picture a little bit for you? Because I don't remember. Did you just like pick up a guitar
Yep.
when you were little, or was it around that time that something kind of more of an interest, or you're fiddling around a little more with
Yep.
it, or what happened?
So I had probably a few years prior. Another good friend of mine was a guitar player, and he came over to the house, and he and I started a couple of bands together.
Okay.
And we played, and so I was already into playing music, but I never felt like a singer. I really, like I said, didn't grow up in a musical household, so I
Yep.
didn't feel like a singer. I really just wanted to be involved.
Yeah.
Right. And like in the '90s, being in a band was so exciting because it's stuff you do with other people. There was status attached to it.
Yeah.
There was community attached to it. It was
Sure.
and so I always wanted to be in a band, and I loved music, but I was a little bit of a late bloomer musically. But after this experience, I woke up with this crazy idea, and I'm an idea guy. I always have ideas.
Yeah. Great idea.
I was like, what if we invited a bunch of teenagers over to the house to do something? I didn't even know what to do.
Like a
I was
jam?
Like, I'm gonna,
Just
do something with the Lord. So I remember
Yeah.
printing this. I cut a bunch of. I took because back then you couldn't just make something on the computer very easily.
Yeah.
And so I remember getting a bunch of magazines and cutting the letters out, and I made this poster that I taped them onto a piece of paper, and then I copied it on a copy machine. I made like 100 copies. And I remember as an invitation. I remember it was so funny. It's like something about like do you feel your Holy Ghost buzz wearing down during the week, right? I was like, maybe we can get together and do something about it. I had no idea what we were going to do.
Yeah.
I just thought that's, and so we, I was like, I was planning to strum the guitar, and there are some of the girls who like to sing, and I printed out some charts, and they could sing, and I could strum the guitar. We had like a friend bring a drum kit over, and so we were in my parents' living room. Right, we put some of the furniture outside,
Yeah.
and I started to strum the chords, and the girls were too nervous to sing. And I was like, we have all these kids over, I don't know what to do. So I was like, I kind of started singing, even though I couldn't really sing, just to get it going.
Yeah.
And we had a blast, and we did that, for weeks, right? So I started this little home group. Had no idea what I was doing, and but that's the first time I ever sang or even attempted to.
Yeah.
So I sort of kind of became the singer of that thing.
Isn't that something?
And then years later, I would start writing my own songs. But yeah, see, I never. It's one of those things I never intended to do.
Okay.
And it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
Right. I was just in the place, and it just kind of happened. Yeah, and Stephen, of course, was involved.
Yeah,
in a lot of that.
Yeah, and that group, I think, continued for a while.
Yeah.
And lots of like the Lord was doing stuff in kids'
Yeah.
lives, and it's pretty amazing. And then I remember you singing. You were talking about your voice. You didn't realize that you were a singer.
Yeah.
or could probably.
Yeah.
And even I've watched this. I would call just an amazing progression with your voice.
Yeah.
Of you, and I don't know what you've done to do all that. Yeah. You have an awesome voice.
Well, thanks.
But it really has just, So I don't know if you worked on that, or you said, God, help me with my voice at the beginning, whatever.
It was. Well, I mean, I definitely prayed.
Yeah.
And I realized, and I played in several bands, and they kind of didn't work out. And at a point, I realized, maybe for it to work, I'm going to have to be the leader.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I don't know who said. What's the quote about? some people are born leaders and some people have leadership thrust upon them,
Yes,
right?
right.
And I was one of those people where, like, I didn't want to be a leader, but to do what I wanted to do in the world required a leader. And I was like, I guess it's got to be me.
Yes, exactly.
You can identify, I
yeah,
guess,
absolutely, yeah.
And then, later on, I did take vocal lessons, and even today, I think about it and I work on it, and I think a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think music is a gift you're born with.
Right.
And like anything, like basketball. Some people are born taller. Some people are more agile, but even those people, like Michael Jordan was born with more gifting than you or I.
Correct.
But if either one of us worked as hard as him, we'd still be better than anyone in the neighborhood, right?
Right.
We'd still be the
I
best
still won't
in
be
our
as good
community.
as him, but yes, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's great for people to hear.
Yeah.
Whether it's voice, talent, skill.
Yeah.
I mean, you put a lot of work
I
into
have put a lot of work.
all of that.
Yeah.
Songwriting, that's not easy.
It's not. Yeah.
There's
a
a lot
of work.
there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes. Anything done on stage, probably has 1,000 hours behind the scenes, right?
It is,
in every part.
Yeah.
Before we continue with the conversation, I wanted to take a minute to share about Hydrating Humanity. For the past 19 years, Hydrating Humanity has provided clean drinking water sources, hygiene education, and the news of Jesus' love to over 500,000 people in Eastern Africa, saving lives and transforming villages. You can make a huge difference in the lives of many by being a part of One Tribe, where $25 per month gives one new person clean water for life and reaches them with God's love. 100% of your monthly gift goes directly to fund projects. Please go to joinonetribe.com and join the tribe that is changing the world. So, one of the things that I have appreciated, I don't know if I've told you, but just with your music along the way is you are unique in many ways. I would say one is the kind of music that you write is it's authentic, it's real, it's deep. It's not just surfacey stuff. It's not saying the same word over and over and over and over. It just has a real depth and uniqueness to it, and I think it's emotional also. Even from your first album, 2005. Just there's emotion with the Lord and a drawing to the Lord. I've had some great experiences with the Lord listening to your music throughout the years. Even when songs come on or I hear them, I can remember the moment I first heard that song of yours, and I can the name of the song, "Running After You." I don't know. It's
Heart Runs.
Heart Runs. You did it last night.
Yep.
I was on an airplane first time I heard that, and I was like crying on the plane. So so God has really gifted you as you've pursued and worked at it. It's like the Lord has touched it as well, and it's been amazing. I'm going to cry too during this thing here, so because I'm thinking about, of course, Stephen, as we mentioned. Yeah. And I remember in those early years, as you were writing and doing some, and then Stephen died. Yeah. So the guy you were just talking about, Stephen Coffey, great friend of yours. I was leading the School of Ministry at a church then, and Stephen was a third-year student. Mm-hmm. So I'd known him for 3 years or so. Yeah. And he died tragically in a car accident in November 2002, 2001, somewhere in there. I don't even remember exactly.
Yeah.
And it was really rough for everybody. Yeah. For you, more than most.
Yeah.
But from that, there was a song that was birthed that probably more people know you by than any other song. I'm guessing up to this point, How He Loves.
Yeah.
And so can you share just a little bit about how that song came out? Let me first say this. I remember I was in a class of yours. You were doing a songwriting class I sat in on, and you said something to the effect of, you don't write songs, you bleed them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that has stayed with me, obviously. Yeah. And speaking of the life that we live and so many of the things that we go through that are really tough or super difficult or devastating or whatever, and out of that, a song or a poem or whatever goes to the, something to the Lord. And so can you, hopefully we can hold together here a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did that happen with you with that song?
Yeah. So, and yes, I want to speak to that quote of you don't write songs, you bleed them.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely believe that. I think that that there's a lot of ways to do art and do music and to make things. But I feel like the stuff that means the most to me feels like it's the overflow of a person's life.
Yes.
It means it's the to bleed a song means like it's what's coming out of you.
Yeah.
And you give it a platform in your music rather than trying to say something significant. And it's fine
Right.
to say something significant. It's another thing to be like, there's this significant thing happening in me.
Yeah.
How can I give that a platform? Right. And so with
really good.
With Stephen Coffey, I actually wrote the first kind of couple of lines of that song. They're probably not exactly like what we sing today. I don't remember because I don't know that I recorded it. I have the journal though.
Do you?
That's in. Yeah. And I had played him those songs. So if I was making a movie about this, I would say this is 100% true, but I don't remember exactly. But in my mind, it was the last time I saw him. And he loved that song. And I told him, I don't think it's a song. I don't think it's any good. And he was like, man, the problem is this sounds too, and I rarely tell this part because it sounds a little too fantastic to be true.
Yeah.
The problem is it's kind of true. And he basically said, that song's going to make you famous. And I was like, no, it's not. I was like, it's not a song.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't want to be famous. I had that like false humility, like I'm gonna be a starving artist and serve the Lord, and and also it sounds so egocentric to say stuff like that. But the problem is it actually happens,
Right. Yep.
And so I guess the truth is allowed to be the truth, even if it makes me sound a little bit egocentric, because I have no ego in that song.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it's out in the world, but it wasn't a lot of work to write. It kind of flowed, but he
how much
said
of
that
it was
to me.
written? How much of that song was written
was like
before, and then how much?
It was maybe 2 or 3 lines.
Okay.
But really nothing more.
Yeah.
It was a very small portion.
Yeah.
And after he passed away, I felt like I wanted to finish it as an homage. Really to him.
Sure.
I really just it's written for the Lord. It's a worship song.
Yeah.
It's not me singing to Steve. We were buddies.
Yeah.
But but it was me like to honor him in a sense. It's like I'm going to finish that song cuz I knew he liked it.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
I finished it as an homage and didn't necessarily plan on playing it for anybody. I mean, I thought it was a good song. Maybe if I do another recording, I'll record that song. And we were doing I was at a youth event not long after that. My other good friend, Chris Allen, who I credit with inventing the worship build in worship music. Most people don't realize,
really?
But I'm pretty sure, and people will argue with me about it, but if we could sit down, that's really boring.
Wow.
That's another podcast altogether.
Okay.
But I think my buddy Chris invented the worship build in worship music. But we were playing it, a youth event kind of thing.
Yeah.
And afterwards, they want us to come back up for ministry time. I'm like, man, I'm so tired of playing all the songs that I've been playing. I'm like, guys, I'm going to do this song. It's 4 chords. Just watch me, right? And I started playing it. And something crazy happened. The people started singing along.
Was this in Nashville? Was it that one, or was it?
This was before Nashville.
Okay.
Yeah, this was in Charlotte at the hotel uptown where we did
the Adams Mark.
At the Adams Mark,
yeah.
yeah. And then it's like you felt this big energy happening, and I was like, it needs to go somewhere. And Chris started hitting the drums really hard. You remember he's the loudest drummer in the universe, right?
And, like Animal on the drums.
Yeah, he absolutely yes. And he started playing. I had to sing over that, and so the chorus spontaneously happened in that moment.
Oh wow!
And at that moment, it became a song, and I'm like, well, I think this is a song that people want to sing. I think this is a song I'm going to want to do.
Yeah.
And so that's really sort of
no kidding
how it happened.
I didn't know that.
Had a couple lines in a journal, sang
Yeah.
for him. He passed away. I finished it as an homage to him. And then the chorus happened in a spontaneous moment. Then for years I always thought about him.
Amazing. Yeah. It's and now that song, I can't imagine this far. I was just looking today, like on your Spotify, I think it's like 4.5 million plays on that song. Plus, it's in all these other languages.
Yeah.
It's going around the world. It's in churches.
Oh, yeah.
Sung.
Yeah.
Been the millions.
Yeah.
Over and over.
Yeah, and that's only that version of the song that has 4 million. Like, I think,
Wow.
I don't know what the numbers are, but they're in the tens of millions, maybe even 100 million when you combine when you combine all of the different versions
and all the different artists
that have covered it.
That have covered it.
Yeah, but it is wild. So it's been translated in so many languages. I mean, in Brazil alone, there are probably 10 different versions of the song.
Yeah, it's incredible.
In Portuguese,
incredible. And it really is a song about, of course, as the backstory with Stephen, but of the Lord's love for us, how God really loves us.
Yeah.
And I think at the time that came out, pretty powerful for the body of Christ to have kind of a reframing of what the Father's like, because I think he was a little bit more of a harsher understanding as to who God is, and just really powerful. So it's really fun to see how God used you in that, and still it's still going. You probably, run into it all over the place.
All the
still.
time.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah. And people love to argue about the sloppy wet kiss line.
I was going to ask about that, of course. That first got taken out. I forget, was it Gungor? I forgot who.
It was David Crowder.
David Crowder, that's right. They took out the sloppy wet kiss line, replaced it with something else, and there was an uprising.
Yeah. It's fun, though. I feel like he catches a lot of flack about that.
Yeah.
But he introduced the song to a whole group of people who would never hear it, because people don't realize things have changed a little bit, but especially back then, there are these they're gatekeepers, people who control what goes on the radio and what and it's not like they refused to play that song with that line, but he kind of knew it would get a much better shot if it didn't have that line in it. Right. And so he changed it, and it gave a whole new audience. Yeah. But the controversy has been fun because it also keeps the story of the song alive.
Sure. Yeah.
And people will insult me about it sometimes on the internet. And I'm like,
really?
Yeah. I'm like,
that's
I don't know.
interesting.
It's keeping the song alive and keeping the conversation.
Yeah.
So
during your spiritual journey, life's journey, along the way, at what point did you feel like, music isn't just this fun thing to do, but man, I feel like this is my purpose, a part of your purpose in life or calling, or how did that happen?
Yep. So it was around the same time that I wrote that song, maybe a year earlier. When you're young, time seems much longer. It's probably a 2-year period of time, but looking back, it felt like a decade.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
all that happens in that period of life. But around that same time, I was playing in a kids ministry thing, and I had written a song, and some of the we were at a big conference, and this is back when conference culture was a huge thing.
Yes.
There still are conferences, but I feel like this was the height of late 90s, early 2000s conference culture. So, there's probably 5,000-6,000 people at this event. Held a kids event. The kids pastor had me in playing, and I, of course, I just love to play. So I'll play with anyone. Let me plug my guitar in, and the kids pastor heard me do a couple of songs. He's like, let's do one of yours, So I was doing this song, and some of the worship leaders from the main, service walked in, and I don't even know why they were there. They heard it in the hall, and they stepped in. And they heard me sing the song, and then the next night I did the song, and they brought some more of the worship team in, and I was so intimidated because these are Nashville guys. These are professional musicians, and afterwards they said, "Why don't you come do that song in the main?"
I remember.
So I don't think I'd ever led worship for adults at this point, not once ever. Had my little home group, led a little worship with the kids, little youth group stuff. Maybe in ministry school for the class, but I don't know that I'd hardly, if ever, maybe once or twice, but hardly ever led worship for adults. I'm probably 20.
Yeah.
No, 19, 20. So somewhere in there. Maybe 21. But probably not. Yeah, but anyway, in that time. And they had me come, and I remember setting my guitar up and plugged my amp in, and sound checked, and I was so intimidated, and came back and started strumming, and I was so scared I could not
Oh no.
sing the first note in the microphone. So the background singer started singing my song for me, and then I joined in with them.
Yeah.
When we got to the chorus, the entire crowd erupted, and I felt this, and this is something that's hard to describe. I'm sure everyone has had this feeling at some point in their life in one way or another, but very few human beings get to experience this experience. To hear your words
Come back. Yeah.
Sung back to you by 5,000 people.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. And I walked off the stage and I was like, you might as well have given me like a hit of cocaine or something.
Sure.
I'm joking. I've never done
right,
drugs,
right,
but I'm saying
exactly.
like,
It was a high.
as far as I know,
Yeah.
that's the closest thing
Yep.
to a drug,
Yeah.
right? Was that feeling. I was like, I will figure out how to do that again.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Sure.
But I'm kind of joking, but not really. Like it was like I felt like I was like I never knew that I had a calling, but if I have a calling, this is it.
Yeah.
This is my life.
Yeah.
I felt the pleasure of God in that moment, and honestly, it goes back. It was the way I felt when I was 7.
Earlier. Yeah. Right.
It was like I've been all my life looking for this feeling. You know, and we can talk theologically about feelings and how much they matter and whether or not they matter. But I think there's a theology of emotion.
Sure.
Obviously, all of it needs to be tempered and balanced.
Right.
But for me, like, that feeling has been a big part of my life. And
Sure.
you know, and maybe I'm getting ahead, though. I've also realized I actually can have that feeling at pretty much any time.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I will let the Lord in.
Yeah.
Like, I can be in that place any time.
That's right.
Any moment
Yeah.
in my life.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if I'm getting off the page,
No,
but later in life I've realized that like that's one of the gifts of my relationship with the Lord, of Christian spirituality. Is like is the gift of the inner life.
Yeah.
You know, I don't believe we talk enough about that in Western Christianity. It's how much access we have to a robust inner life.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was just going to say that, you know, it's the Holy Spirit. I feel like that much of what that feeling, that sense, that yearning for is that inner life experience, fellowship with the Holy Spirit. Yeah.
And it's always there, always been there.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, wooing us and drawing us closer. Hey, if you are just getting to know Awake Church or found us through this podcast, I just want to share a little bit here. Our mission is to know Jesus personally, to become progressively more like him, and make his name known everywhere. We like to say, know God, take action. We are a community of awakened sons and daughters of the King, growing together, loving and worshiping God together, and releasing his love into this world. You can learn more about our leadership team, our values and beliefs, and check out upcoming events at awakechurch.com. So, John Mark, throughout your really music career, you've been doing this now. I was looking at your first album, was 2005. Here we are, 2025.
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah.
You've been doing this. Some favorite experiences, whether it's stage, off stage, people's lives, people sharing things with you? Because I'm sure certainly you've heard testimonials from people and all those kind of things. Or things. Anything come to mind? Just
man, I have so many amazing memories. I remember playing in Germany the first time at a festival called Freakstock. You know, they served beer in the tent, and they sang hymns and stood up on the table and drank beer and sang hymns. But I remember playing on the stage the first time and watching people. I remember going to South America for the first time, playing in Brazil, and feeling the energy of the people there. Playing in New Zealand, that was just absolutely incredible to be out there in the nature and playing outdoors. And I think, when I think back to all of it, though, my favorite moments are the people. The people I was doing it with, riding in the van. Those are my two favorite things, those moments on the stage where we feel something that's beyond us. Together.
Yeah.
Because it really is about feeling something, experiencing God together. Right? We're all supposed to have this personal relationship with God, but the personal relationship always leads you back to a communal relationship with God.
Yes.
It's sort of like this circular kind of pattern. And even if you want to get real philosophical, it's like the way the Father loves the Son, and the Son makes way for the Spirit, and the Spirit cries, Abba, Father. It's like this. It's like this cyclical thing that is personal.
They prefer
and
each other
and communal.
Yeah.
They prefer one another.
Right.
So it is that thing that it is that it's experiencing God with this group of people. Together, and traveling, and and having some of the best experiences are when things go wrong. I remember being on the side of the road in Texas, broke down in the middle of nowhere, and this big truck comes by, and I remember sending my brother-in-law to talk to him because he's from Georgia and he plays up his southern accent.
Yes, that's right.
And he gets us towed somewhere because they, he's able to talk. Talk with the locals, and I remember being in Brazil and my brother shutting the show down because it had rained, and we're standing on pallets. Like pallets that they built the stage out of pallets. We're standing on pallets, and the water level is rising.
Oh, no.
And the cables are hanging over the water, and my brother shutting the thing down because he's afraid we're going to get electrocuted. And I finished, with an acoustic guitar without any power. We're basically out in the jungle.
Goodness.
What a fantastic journey! But it's like so many of my favorite memories are when things went wrong and how we handled that with the people we were with. And those are some of my favorites. Traveling with my wife early on, and then we had a season we really didn't get to travel together. We tried traveling with the kids when they were young, and you hear about people doing that, and you realize a lot of people don't, and then you realize why a lot of people don't. So the kids are like adults; they have different temperaments, and mine were not meant to do that type of traveling.
Suited for the road,
But now my kids are growing up, and my son is going to come out with me on part of the tour this spring.
That's so cool.
So those have been some of my favorite moments, And then when people, I've had people come up to me and say, it's so simple because I take for granted that there are some people who have never had this thought. This blows my mind because I grew up with two parents who love each other, two parents who love me, right? And two parents who love God, and have always told me that God loves me.
Yes.
And that sounds like such a simple thing, it's almost trite kind of thing, until you realize there are human beings in this world who not only have they never been told that God loves them, they have never had the thought. The thought has never crossed their mind that this eternal presence who created the universe, or that any sort of presence, or that any sort of God, or that any sort of being out they've never been told. They've never even had the thought that God loves you and that God is for you, not against you. Right? And even just the spiritual implications are huge, but even psychological, just to grow up knowing that God is for me and not against me, what that does for you and what that forms in you. And so when people come up to me and say I'd never even had the thought, that thought never crossed my mind. I grew up in a way that I never had the thought that God thought about me, much less loved me or could be for me. That is I realized that that could be my legacy, and I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
that like I
yeah,
that
absolutely.
I introduced people. If all I did
Absolutely.
was introduce people to the concept
Yeah.
that maybe God exists, maybe God is aware of your existence, and
Yeah.
maybe God loves you. If you would just consider those three
Yeah.
concepts,
It's huge.
what it could do for you as a human being
Yeah.
is huge.
Yeah.
You know, so that's some of the best stuff.
Yeah. And would you say that some of that would be a part of what your hope is for your music
Absolutely.
here moving forward
Yeah.
as well, is
Absolutely.
that connection with God?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I think that's what it's always been since I was 7.
Yeah.
Feeling like the universe loved me, which obviously that was
That's God. Yeah.
and that I loved everyone else. Obviously,
Yeah.
that was God. Like I feel like I have this concept. This is a little bit oversimplified.
Yeah.
Right. But I feel like both hyper fundamentalists and deconstructionists, neither one tend to take it far enough. Right. I feel like a lot of times fundamentalists don't take Jesus' words seriously enough. Right? They don't.
Yeah.
They're not
Sure.
fundamental about the things Jesus says. And deconstructionists, they don't always deconstruct down to their place in the world. Right?
Yeah.
They both tend to deconstruct
Right.
to the place of their comfort, or and
Sure.
fundamentalism not taking it to its fullest becomes tyranny,
Yeah.
and deconstruction not taken to its fullest becomes chaos. Right? But if you take them all the way, you find yourself at this place where like, Jesus says that I was born and created to love God and love other people. And all of theology and all of my faith journey and all of my Christianity can be summed up. My purpose in life in loving God and loving other people.
Right.
And the deconstructionists can get to the point where they realize, like, what is the meaning of life? You will not find meaning. You could make the language however you want.
Right.
Right. And so I'm open to however you want to change the language, but you will not find meaning aside from having a relationship with a higher power and having a relationship with other human beings.
Yeah.
And by relationship, I don't mean what you get out of it.
Yeah.
Because ultimately meaning comes from sacrifice, right? It's like meaning comes from what you're willing to give in order to have, right? Meaning doesn't really come from receiving,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Meaning comes from giving. And so like, anyway, I realized at 7 years old, I discovered those two things.
Yeah.
And I think we all probably find those in our own way when we're young, and then we spend the rest of our lives rediscovering those two things. And that's what I really hope with my music, with the things that I have to say, with life in general, is that people can at least feel or encounter those two ideas
Yeah.
in everything that I do.
Yeah. I love that. You get connected to Jesus.
Yeah.
And his love for us, and him being, as he said of himself, he's the way, the truth, the life.
Yeah.
No one comes to the Father but through him. It's a beautiful journey, isn't it?
It
With
is,
lots of ups and downs, and
Yeah.
trying to figure this out and feeling devastated and all those things.
Yeah.
So, you put words to a lot of those journeys, and it really has helped people, and it's been wonderful to watch.
Wow.
God use you in this way. So thanks for saying yes all along the way.
Yeah, well, thank you.
And for doing. I would also just take a moment to thank you too for way back. I was looking at again today, 2009. You had this idea, which you followed through on too, by the way. A really good one is doing an album to support the kids that we're serving in Africa with clean drinking water. And so we really pushed on that. Got a producer, you got all your friends, these other artists, wrote original songs for it. The song you wrote was called I Dreamed There Was a Fountain.
Yeah.
It was what we named the album as well. Yeah. It's fantastic, actually. Great album.
Yep.
That you can find. Yeah, it still is. Really good. It's not on Spotify. It's on Apple Music. It's also on our website, hydratinghumanity.org. You can find it there, download it. But thank you for doing that, as well as the ways you've given, loved people you'll never meet in Africa by helping raise money for us and doing benefit concerts and all that too, and being on our board. And so I really appreciate your investment in people's lives, behind the scenes, that stuff people don't get to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Well, that song was kind of inspired by your story, which I'm sure you've told.
Not on this broadcast yet.
Yeah, but I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
But Matt really inspired me with his work that he was doing and the whole journey
Yeah.
to digging wells in Africa. And initially it was about water, selling water here and
Right.
giving people water there.
Yep.
I was like, well, if you can transfer water, if the value of water can be transferred over, bottles can be transferred into human lives.
Yeah. Right.
And that's really not an overstatement, really. It's
Yeah,
like,
no, it's true. Yeah.
This amount of money costs to dig a well, and this well will probably save this many lives.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like oversimplification, but it's somewhat true. I was like, we can do this with music too. We can make music, and we can sell CDs, and a CD costs a certain amount of money to make.
Yeah.
Make a certain amount of money, it can provide to dig this many wells, reaches this many people.
Yeah.
And we did a CD release, raised a bunch of money.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
dug
It
a
was a
bunch of
blast.
wells. It was an adventure. It was
It
an
really
absolute
was.
adventure. Yeah.
Yeah. Really fun.
Yeah.
And those wells are still giving water, still giving
Yeah.
life to
Yeah.
kids, moms today. So, yeah.
Which is
Lasting
one of the most
impact.
beautiful things about your
Yeah.
work is that it doesn't end. You guys keep the wells working.
Right.
They continue, hopefully
Yeah.
for lifetimes.
That's
right?
our plan.
Yeah.
Keep them going forever. So, you've got a tour coming up.
I do.
You got a new album about to come out, right?
Coming out
Can
in 2 weeks. I don't know when this podcast will release,
Yeah.
but it's coming out April 4th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, can you talk a little bit about that,
Yeah.
and maybe even as you talked about maybe coming full circle in
Yeah.
some of your musical ambitions and what you feel like God has
Yeah.
given you? How does that come out with this album? And
Yeah. So I definitely went through my own sort of period of deconstruction, which I know that word gets way overused.
Yeah.
And it means about 500 different things,
Sure.
you know?
Yep.
But I went through a little bit of a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like that's part of the Christian journey. That's part of the human journey.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so the dark night of the soul, and
Yep,
whatever
that's
you want
right.
to call
Yep.
it, like
Yeah.
I'm a different person now than I
Yeah.
was before. And apparently I'm the same person I was when I was
Right.
7.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know how it all works, but I
Yeah.
went through a season where I wasn't actively engaged in worship music.
Yeah.
Philosophically, it still has a value for God, and so I think philosophically it's still worship music. But as far as songs that communities sing together, wasn't necessarily that type of music, and I wasn't necessarily planning to go back into that.
Yeah.
And I was fine with it, and I'd really come back to a place where I was very comfortable with who I was in the Lord, and very comfortable with not doing worship music anymore. And then my father-in-law got sick, really, really bad sick. He got cancer, and he battled it, thought he won, and then it came back. And I mean, you know how that goes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
My wife became one of his primary caretakers,
Yeah.
and I slowed way down because I needed to be there for him.
Yeah.
Really needed to be there for my wife and be there for my family.
Yeah.
Didn't know how long that was. I didn't know I was going to slow down for so long.
Yeah.
Ended up being about a year, maybe a year and a half. A very long time, Did
Yeah.
enough to pay the bills and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But mostly slowed down. And during that time, I also felt pretty stuck. That's a complex time. Because we're
Yeah,
all
for sure.
battling these
Oh, yeah.
complex emotions of my wife losing her dad.
Oh man.
Also trying to take care of him and how difficult that is, just practically. So practically hard, emotionally hard. Just scraping by, doing your best by the kids, but some days just letting them watch TV because you got to run out and take
Yeah.
them to the hospital.
Oh, man.
You don't get
Yeah.
back till 2 a.m. That kind of thing. And so I'm there and I'm supportive. I'm also feeling a little bit stuck, and then my identity issues are like stirring up. I'm like, I thought I worked through this, but like I'm not able to do this thing that I felt like gave me value to the world.
Yeah.
Because I'm here trying to help, And then during that stuck time, I had these worship choruses that I would just sing around the house to get me through the day. And I was not going to record them. Some of them are very old.
Yeah.
That I'd had back from the 2012.
Yeah.
Some of them were brand new, and I found myself singing them. Then after my father-in-law passed, we're obviously going through the grieving process, but we're also asking ourselves, well, what do we want to do with our lives now? We're in this new season. We miss him, but also we're like, what are we going to do? And I think it was Sarah's idea. She's like, you need to record those songs. And I was like, I kind of agree. I feel like these songs need a home. So I started working on this worship album. And there's this whole new life came to me through this process. So now I'm doing worship music again. And I really didn't see myself doing that in a, in this type of capacity.
Yeah, that's so great.
So...
yeah, it's kind of like when the flood is rising, you have to turn electricity off and do something different.
Exactly.
You got another life issue that rises, and you make an adjustment. And so it's so great because I think you really, one of the things that God has done with you is with worship music in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's gone around the world.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be powerful yet.
Wow.
The songs that are about to be released and the future ones too.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it helps people connect with the Lord. And,
and
while we're talking here, if you hear background music right now, we're at a conference now, and so they're doing a class right behind this wall. So if you're hearing someone sing, you're not going crazy. It's really happening in the background. So John Mark, with the tour coming up, new album coming out, how do people, if they want to come to a show, or they want to listen to your music, what's the best way for them to connect and find out?
The music's on all the streaming platforms, so they can search John Mark McMillan. You can go to my website, johnmarkmcmillan.com. I'm most active on Instagram as far as all the platforms go. I'm present on the others, but that's the one I'm most active on. And so if you want to keep up, that's the best way. If you want to really keep up, I've got a text messaging platform, and I've got an email list. Yeah. You can join any of those if you don't want the algorithm if you want to make sure you're, you're really seeing the stuff that I'm putting out. So.
Thanks so much for carving out some time to be with us doing this, and so good to see you again. And so it was really, really awesome for me to see your family up on stage too last night and again. And just love you guys. Yeah. But thank you for watching today, listening. If you're listening to this podcast without the video on here, we'll plan on doing a lot more of these in the future. And periodically releasing them. You can find us on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook channel, on Spotify. Make sure you you can follow us and get some more content from us this way. So thanks again, John Mark, and Lord bless you guys. Have a great one.